Hello my beautiful souls. In this video I will discuss what is codependency, where codependency can be found, and give you some examples of how the codependency look like and where this can come from. So I will start off giving you a few examples how you can know and how you can figure out that you are in codependent relationship or you have a codependency toxic pattern. So one of the things to recognize is to see if you are prioritizing needs of others in relationships at your cost. So people who are codependent, these people are needy, these people are clingy, and they also planning their whole life around that person in relationship. And it doesn't matter if this is a male or female, the whole life is always created around other person. That person doesn't have any hobbies, passions, interests, any life outside of the relationship. So that person only lives to fully feel and please other person, because this relates to the feelings of being unwanted and unimportant. So that person gonna do everything, sacrifice himself, herself for their partner. And the codependency can be found in relationships, friendships, can be found at work. So as we can see, it doesn't always have to be just a relationship between man and woman. Why this codependency can happen as well is due to the lack of self-esteem, or the self-esteem is very low, lack of self-worth. That's the issues. So why these things can happen, and what is to be, for example, dependent and codependent. What is the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationship, friendship with other person? So so codependent person feel worthless until they will please their partner, and usually this is a huge sacrifice, because that person sacrifice her or himself to satisfy others person needs. And if she or he is not doing it, she or he feels unworthy and worthless, unimportant. So dependent person, so because it's nothing wrong of being dependent on someone but not codependent. So for example, if you dependent, people make a priority, they both make the relationship as priority, so they depend on each other, but in a joyful rest. So this is the interest for both of them for the relationship to work. What is another example of a difference between the codependent and dependent? So codependent has no personal identity. So like I mentioned, there is no interest, no hobbies, no life outside of the relationship. There is no values. That person doesn't have their own morals, values. Everything is just all around the relationship and to satisfy, to please other person. Dependent is when the two people work together towards a relationship. So they both needs are met there. In terms of the emotions, in codependent relationship or friendship, only one person talk about emotions, another person doesn't even know what feels. So basically there is a huge struggle with expressing the emotions and conflicts and things like that, and work through it, because this is only on one part, and another person in codependent relationship is happy because the other person is actually sacrificing him or herself for him or her, and their needs are getting met. So the other part of that relationship, friendship, is fully filled and is taking advantage of this, where other person is sacrificing because she or he thinks that what they think is not important. So the codependent relationships very often have some abuses, so includes emotional and physical abuse, and this is very, very important to mention here, because it's very dangerous for our health, mental and emotional health, because that kind of relationship can very much ruin your sanity. So it's very important to have this in mind and recognize and work through your own patterns of being a codependent person, because it's very, very toxic and unhealthy. So what are the warnings and signs for you that you can figure out if you are in that kind of relationship, or if you have that pattern and problems, is when you're staying in the relationship with someone who is abusive, so you know this relationship for you is very harmful, is not healthy, and is ruining you on a mental, emotional, and even spiritual level. I'm not mentioning even physical, but you're still staying in this relationship. You know deep down that it's not good for you, but you're still there. You feel constant anxiety about the relationship, and it's like you're constantly thinking that you are not good enough and you're not pleasing your partner, you're not giving enough to your partner. That's the signs that you need to look and be aware. Feeling guilty about that you are asking for your needs that needs to be met. And also not expressing your needs, so because you don't even know what you need and what you want, because you all the time sacrifice yourself for other person, and you so much concentrated on the needs of other person that you don't even know and recognize your own. Ignoring your morals and all the time. So you ignoring your morals at the cost of other person. So you don't know what your values are anymore, because you are so obsessed about other person. You do anything to please and satisfy your other half, and no matter what, you need to satisfy, you need to please your other person, and no happiness, no joy, no satisfaction can be found outside of relationship. And you will be wondering why someone like that is staying in this relationship. So usually all these patterns, toxic patterns, are learned in a childhood, especially when you had some abusive parents. This is very big reason, especially the parent who were alcoholic or were abusing drugs, or the parent who been never taught certain things when he or she was a child. So you might be taught that your own needs are less important than others, because the whole your life you had to concentrate to meet the needs of your parents. So you are constantly concentrated to please your parents at your own cost. And so this is found in the types of families when the child was constantly concentrated on pleasing parents. Your needy parents could teach you that you need to be selfish and you need to be greedy, and this is the only way you can get something for yourself. This is as well, and there is so many narcissistic people with the narcissistic person disorder due to that fact, and this is the way the child learn to ignore their own needs and just think about other people as well, just to please them. And so this can be related to the parents who had an addiction problem, alcohol or drugs, or the lack of maturity and emotional development, resulting in their own self-centered needs. So because you might have a parent who were just so self-centered on themselves that they didn't really care about you when you were a child. And this also brings to the table that the child feels unworthy and feel less worthy, especially when that person as an adult, as a grown-up, wants to deliver, wants to give everything, but it can't. So this found is mainly in abusive families in that environment. So, and that's created the patterns. So when we've been taught and brought up this way, this creates the patterns in our subconscious mind. And this pattern, it's usually, if it's not recognized early enough, it usually carries into the adulthood. So subconsciously, we know that this is not right. However, we have a subconscious blockage and created pattern which is repeating and repeating itself until it will be recognized. And the way to recognize is to actually see and recognize what type of people you attract to your life, what relationship you create with other people. If you're feeling like you are not important and you need to please others, and you just keep doing this all the time, and you creating this codependency, because if you start being aware and noticing, then there is a big chance that you can unlearn, so you can release this pattern and release this blockage that won't affect you later on in life, because we all are worthy and we all deserve to have a healthy, beautiful relationship, friendships, and we just need to recognize and do some inner work and self-realization of what is going on. So trying to admit if we are codependent or we are in a codependent environment or situation, to recognize it. So I hope this video will help you to see if you are in that kind of pattern, cycle, relationship, friendships, job, whatever. And I hope this is gonna help you to recognize it and deal with it, change it for your own benefits. Thank you very much for listening today. It's always a pleasure to share my own knowledge, share my own experience with you, and I speak to you soon. Thank you.